If you were around River City last year, you are probably familiar with the term, the Neighborhood 360 Assessment, right? Probably remember that. We talked about that quite a bit. If you don't know what that is, last year a team from River City set out to go into the town, do a deep dive into the city to learn the history, the people, the stories. They interviewed key players in the city, and then the whole thing culminated in us going door to door back in April or May, I don't remember, to ask the residents of the city 4 questions. That was, how long have you lived in the city? What do you love about living here? What changes would you like to see? And how could a loving church make a difference? There are 3 answers to those last questions that fit what we'd been wanting to do from the very beginning of River City, and things we've had our eyes and ears open toward ever since the survey, to see, are there ways we can actually start to meet some of these needs? People would like to see downtown revitalized a little bit, and that there would be a place for locals to meet, a place for them to form community with one another. And so this one has a little bit more history, and it's a little bit a longer term thing, but ever since the original River City launch team set out to plant a church here in Riverside, there were 2 things at the top of our dream list. They still are there. Those 2 things at the top of our list was, 1, to have our own church building, to have a place where we could meet the needs of the community 24/7. Like, we don't have interest in just having a space where we meet for 2 hours on a Sunday morning, maybe youth group Wednesday night, and then it just sits empty the rest of the week. Never something we wanted to be part of. We want to have a space that's open for various community events all throughout the week. We wanted a space that's within walking distance of the downtown or residential area here. That's number 1, is to have our own building. Number 2 was we've always had this vision for a cafe or a coffee shop or something, a place where people could meet together, a place where the community could interact with each other and with us, a place where we would have a face in the community more than just Sunday mornings. So we even put together a business plan and looked at some buildings 4 or 5 years ago, and it just felt like at that time the Lord was saying, no, just wait. Just wait on that. It's not time yet. But the vision has never gone away for either of those 2 things. And so for the past several years, we continue to pray, God, would you open the doors for us, for some land, open the doors for a building, open the doors for a cafe. We prayed that River City would be able to be a space for residents to come together and have gospel-centered interactions on a daily basis. After school programs, discipleship to take place, and those kinds of things. And over the last couple of years, as we were dreaming about this, and as we had mentioned it to other people, we found out a lot of people have a vision for that same kind of thing. And so, we just continue to pray, God, do what you're going to do. Put it on people's hearts at the right time. In fact, our middle school director, Andrew Brooks, you've seen up here many times, he came to us this past year and said, I believe God is calling me out of my current job and leading me to be a manager of a cafe. And we were like, well, join the team. That's kind of what we all want. But we're all kind of waiting to see what God wants to do and see how this will all work out. And then this past fall, we discovered a few buildings on Main Street here in town might become available. And so the dream started to show some signs of life again. And we started kicking around some ideas, but knew that it could be a bit of a long shot. But the more steps we took, the more we dug around, it seemed like maybe God was resurfacing this. We had a great relationship with the owners of the coffee shop that was here in town. Great relationship with them. Didn't want to push them out. Didn't want to compete with them in any way. Met there for the women's prayer time on Thursday mornings. Just really enjoyed getting to know them and spending time with them. So didn't want to do anything that would come up against them. But then in early November, some of those buildings on Main Street actually became available, and as the Lord would have it, some people from church here ended up getting them, all 3 of them. Soon after that, Jody and I sat down with the owners of the coffee shop for a conversation, and to our surprise, they said, well, we're going to move our coffee shop, so it's all yours. And so here's where things stand today on this. two from our leadership team, my wife Jody and Janine King, have kind of taken the lead on this and have spent some time meeting with some other cafes around the area to get a better idea of what this looks like for a church to kind of partner with the cafe and what's the best way to do this. But as a leadership team, we believe that God is bringing this thing to pass. And so it's been our desire from the very beginning to be a place where we are for the good of the city and for the benefit of the residents here. And it just seems like enough pieces that only God could move have fallen into place for us to say, all right, we're going to pursue this now. Here's one of those God pieces I'll share with you before I'm done. Last year, I talked about Andrew Brooks coming to us. Last year this time, remember, we were getting started with middle school ministry, and he came to us, and said, there's this church that has offered to bring me up to their church in Cedar Rapids to do a 6-month training program and then send me trained back to River City. And I was like, I've never heard of that happening. That is pretty cool. Well, God did it again. Fast forward to this year, a coffee shop in North Liberty, run by believers, has offered to train Andrew for 6 months and then send him back to Riverside to do whatever we need him to do at the cafe. Crazy. And so, where we're headed now, what we're pushing toward is that this building in downtown Riverside, on the corner of First Street and Washburn, we are pressing toward this being the future home of the cafe. And so it is currently having demo work done inside, and we just want to draw up some plans and just get an overall feel for what we're looking at here. And so there's a lot of questions. I know there's a lot of questions that could come up on this, and specifically where's the money coming from and all of those kinds of things, and how is this going to be run. We have a sheet again on the back table. There's a lot of stuff on the back table for you today, but you can pick up one of those sheets that kind of answers some of those questions. But really what we're looking for right now, or make you aware of right now, is that the goal of this cafe is that it would be run by a board of directors, not by the leadership team. And so the next step for us is to begin to fill that board of directors so that they can press forward in this and the leadership team can get back to being focused on what's happening here, on the future land and building situation, that kind of thing. So if that's something you're interested in, would love for you to come and talk to me afterwards if you see Janine or Jody around, to talk to them about this, or Andrew if you see him around. You can talk to them. Otherwise, there will be that text message is coming in 20 minutes at 11:30. A text message is coming around, and it will have a link to the application if you want to be on the board, if that's something you're excited about. We also want to open it up. If you have concerns or questions about this, not sure how this is all going to work, please come and talk to us. We want to hear from you as well. But once that board is in place, then the leadership team will let go of the project and we'll move on from there.